Reema, part 2 of our data series with Vantage Talent and People of Data. Quick introduction, I lead our data team here at Vantage, and Reema runs her own consultancy, People of Data. Reema, do you want to just give us a quick overview on People of Data?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me, Rishi. And People of Data really is all about doing data strategy whilst focusing on your business strategy, but most importantly, making sure that the people at any stage in your organization are represented properly, fully, and in a way that they can expand past the traditional diversity and inclusion tick box forms. So we really want to understand who your customers are, how can we best support them, by truly understand what their needs are. That will help your employees to feel a bit more satisfaction because they're working to a purpose, and ultimately that's going to support you and your bottom line and your organizational mission to achieve the goals that you have set out.
Nice. And I know you did the first part of the series with Sophie, our Chief Operating People's Officer here at Vantage on inclusive data. So yeah, it's sort of our topic today is more around the technical aspect of data. How can companies represent data better, in your opinion, when going into a company, seeing it from afar?
Yeah, I think the key thing is to really truly understand why they're collecting it. So before getting into that technical bit, doing a bit of a, well, why are we doing this? And I definitely know that I've said that a lot on the conversation with Sophie as well, is this question of why is super important. But once you have that answer of why, then you can take that and keep it as a, metaphorical or a literal post-it note everywhere to be like, well, why are we doing this? Let's just constantly remind ourselves. So when we build this system that is processing this data, storing this data, when we're building the dashboards that represent and tell the stories, we can truly remember and understand the why behind, why do we have all of this data, and what's the purpose in doing this whole thing. I think certainly in my own data career, where I've been a hands-on data professional, being a data analyst, data scientist, data engineer, is it's really easy to lose sight of that why, because you are so stuck into like a really specific problem. But just coming up for air sometimes is a really useful approach, I'd say.
The why bit is quite, I guess, quite important when handling data on why we're doing this, like you mentioned. But like you said, you've dabbled in different roles and different areas, like data engineer, data science, data analyst. Why is it important for them to represent the data, and what exactly do they do with this data and utilize that data?
Yeah, I think it's really cool to think about, or I certainly find it really cool to think about the different team players you have within a data team or within a data function, because sometimes in an organization, a single person can be expected to play all these roles, which sometimes are a little bit at conflict with each other, but it's quite nice because it makes the conversations go faster anyway. But when you have a whole team of a, analyst, engineer, scientist, is you should have, or you should definitely be prioritizing having a conversation between those people, because you've got one person who's pulling together all that data from the data engineer's perspective, to be able to then provide the analysts with the data that they need to actually create some insights, reporting, investigations within that data, to then have a data scientist in an optimal world doing some sort of like predictive or really deep kind of analytics and statistics on that data. So having multiple people to be able to have those conversations is really, really useful, because you can kind of move away from it being, oh, we need this data, we need to answer how many customers did we have last week, to actually understanding, well, what does the customer journey look like? How do we make sure that we're pulling data from multiple systems, not just the ones that we think we need as the non-technical people? And we can really kind of have this like mapped architecture of, what does this business look like? And going back to that why question, why do we exist? Right, okay, brilliant. What are all the components that play a part in making sure that that why happens, and why, how our organization actually exists? So then that's not me saying that we need absolutely every single system represented in the data pipeline and the data architecture, and the data systems that we have, but like just an awareness of them, to know that if someone asks that question, great, we do actually have that data. Is it worth us investing all the time in getting that data automated, or is this just a one-off question? I think when you have a team of those people, or when you have someone playing the part of all of those different roles, you can start to look at those questions and understand, what's some of the trade-off, what's some of the opportunity cost, what's some of the value that can be unlocked by getting all that data together.
Start to fit the puzzle together.
Exactly that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.